This is the Investor Connect podcast program. This is Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show, in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, and many other investor groups for startups and growth companies. I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you for joining us. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today we're here with Isaac Baabs of Handmade. Isaac, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Hall. Pleasure to be here.
So how did you get into early stage investing?
Yeah, so I've been doing it for the last 4 years, and prior to that, I was a longtime operator on the corporate side, and then also creating startups. I ended up doing a lot of my own startups, and then my next step, I thought it was to get involved with more of a quantity of startups, the right ones, of course, not just any startups, and taking my operational experience and leveraging that into helping other entrepreneurs and founders create companies. And so that's how I got into it, kind of my career maturation, you could say. And my model is a little different because I have a very strong operating background, more than 30 years, is that I wanted to actually not only be an angel investor, but I wanted to be actively involved. So I call myself a executive advisor / angel investor. And that's a big differentiation, and that's kind of what I do. Earlier in my career, when I was running companies or I was really operating, I did some angel investing. I liked certain portions about it, but I didn't like others. And so my model is really a hybrid.
Well, it's great. So what does your group focus on as far as startups? Where do you spend your time, and what is your best expertise on?
Yeah, so since I'm a longtime operating guy. I'm based in Silicon Valley. I actually live in Hillsborough, California, and we also have a place in San Francisco. So I really go from San Francisco down the peninsula. And then I focused on companies really on the West Coast because and that's everywhere on the West Coast. And that's basically west of Texas and Colorado going west. My focus is really on software, mobile cloud, / AI stacks. I will do some limited hardware companies that might do systems integration, but my strength is really software companies, mobile, cloud. And then I look at different verticals that are in those areas. Like one of the areas that I really like is mobile SaaS, cloud, B2B. Second that I've been searching far and wide, but I'm looking is entrepreneurs and groups addressing solutions for the boomers, I call them. Anybody over 55 and older, that's a completely under-addressed market. Third area that really has me pretty interested in things is cybersecurity. I still think and keep in mind, there's lots of companies in all these, but I think cybersecurity is continuing to go. And then historically, I've been strong in mobile ad tech, also in mobile VR, and some IoT types of things too. So I usually am looking at anywhere from 3 to 5 sectors that are in the kind of mobile / cloud enterprise world.
So when startups come to you, what's the best sector and stage they should be in as far as revenue, product market fit, or do you take people just ideas, or do they need to have something kind of developed that you can work with, or do they need to be revenue producing? Where's the best group for you?
Yeah, so I specialize in what I call builder creators, as I mentioned, on the West Coast. And those are people that are product or engineering focused. They usually have a sidekick or they have multiple people. Ideally, their teams of 3 to 10 people that are writing code. They haven't actually even raised money yet. And I'm perfectly open to writing the first check and being the person that gets actively involved with them on that. So what I don't do also is if you're a business person and you don't have an engineering partner, or you're just really outsourcing everything to another country, or you're outside the Western United States, not a fit for me. I really, really am big on having the core tech team, core tech platform they're building all in-house so they can iterate very fast. And also, I feel that's the quickest way for them, the entrepreneurs, and me as a partner or investor to build enterprise value.
Well, it sounds like you do a lot with mobile, and mobile's come a long ways in the last 10 years. It used to be just going from a desktop to a mobile device was a big step, but now everything's on the mobile. And so it seems like there's a next generation coming out with mobile and see a lot with AI and some other things. But what do you think the next big thing is for mobile that's coming up?
Oh, you're right. Mobile's like the water now. I've been doing mobile for 15 years. So, but there is, with my kind of operational and expertise and background in it, I'm having a hard time kind of, like not including that in everything. Mobile is the number one dominant device that we all interact with today. So I think beyond mobile, it's just going to be more mobile around the world. And I think the platforms and the stuff going, and when I say mobile, what I'm really saying is mobile slash cloud slash add artificial intelligence on that too. And I looked at it as a kind of a table stakes game for any smart entrepreneur to be doing now is how do I leverage these different kind of macro trends to be able to create solutions, software solutions that solve real customer problems. And so when you kind of say like AI, yeah, AI is probably what mobile was 5 to 10 years ago, but it also will be everywhere. And I think anyone that's building a business of scale that they could either use the existing infrastructures out there, whether that's what Amazon might be creating or what what Google might be creating or Microsoft. You could use their tools to do artificial intelligence, or if you're even being AI specific, I do think that is the future. But I think different verticals are going to have different solutions. It's not one size fits all there. So, but I do think you can leverage some of these other bigger company platforms too.
Based on that comment, where do you think AI is going to have the biggest impact? Which vertical do you think is going to get the biggest bang for the effort for using it? Is it fintech or ed tech or real estate tech? But where do you think it's going to have the biggest impact, AI itself, in the mobile space?
Yeah, so I think it's gonna be well, not just mobile. It's because mobile, like you said, is everywhere, and AI is going to be everywhere too. So I think it's going to be areas where there's lots of data that the startups are going to have access to that data, whether they have relationships with consumers or they have relationships with customers. Because if you have the data, you could do the machine learning type of work you need to do, and then from there you could even do deep learning neural network creation with that data too. So I think that's first and foremost is you need data, you need access to that data to be able to verify, train, and continue to make your models run better with it. So the verticals could be any that you have access to. I'm in one company called Blue Hexagon. It's a cybersecurity company, and they took a whole bunch of open source, publicly available data to be able to create their machine learning, their deep learning from that. So the entrepreneurs are going to need to be very savvy and very smart about getting access to that data and continuing to have it to be able to build their business on AI.
So it sounds like that's doing pretty well with it. It sounds like the technology is moving very quickly as well. What do you think the next big application is going to be for AI itself? What do you think the killer app is going to be that really takes it to the next level?
I think cybersecurity, I think healthcare, I think drug creation. You brought up fintech. I think there's a lot of stuff you could do at fintech, particularly around, once again, cybersecurity fraud. And I think authentication, you could even, as you mentioned, bring it into education. I'm a person that I believe that all these industries, just like the software industry is affecting everything we're doing, AI is going to do the same. And I would argue that the AI stack is an extension of what we're doing already in the software industry. It's just the next evolution. You could say there was mobile, there was cloud, there's now it's AI just added to all that going in there. So I don't really look at it like there's going to be a killer app only. I think there's going to be many, whether those are autonomous cars, whether it's fintech, whether it's the authentication, all the other categories I talked about.
How easy is it to put an AI application together on the mobile? My experience, I worked on AI many years ago in the 80s when when it was hot back then, and there wasn't much computing power. There weren't many data sets, and it was very, very hard to apply in most cases. Only in some cases where you had a very clear decisions tree structure would it work. But in today's world, there's a lot more computing power, there's a lot more data sets, and probably a lot more problems amenable to AI. But how hard is it to apply AI out there into these applications?
I think generally speaking, it's fairly easy, particularly with how well known everything is. I think, one of the first areas that AI has really done exceptionally well in is computer vision. So that continues to be a big area on the mobile slash cloud world. And that's mainly because everybody has a camera built in on that mobile phone. So I think that's going to continue to be that. But you could also tie into very powerful tools, whether that's from mainly from Google on that, from their computer vision stuff. So I think that's a huge application. I also think that it's really going to be a connected world where you're not only going to have what's going on in the mobile device, but you're going to have what's going on in the cloud. There's also going to be a lot less latency with 5G coming on, a lot more bandwidth. So that the types of applications are going to be, some are going to be mobile only on the endpoints. By when I say mobile only, those endpoints could be video cameras, they could be probes, they could be all kinds of other things that talk in near real time to the cloud. And others could be actually grabbing data, sending it to the cloud and processing it in the cloud. Or it could be stuff that's figured out in the cloud and sending it out to the endpoint. So there is a litany and a large amount of different things are going to be solved with everything going on with artificial intelligence, mobility, cloud, and now with 5G hitting the world over the next 2 to 5 years too.
You talked about a lot of applications, but we haven't talked about AR or VR, virtual reality, augmented reality. When do you think that's going to come to the mobile space in a big way?
Well, I bet 2.5 years ago it was going to happen. I got involved with a couple mobile VR companies, and quite frankly, it's been very, very difficult. On the consumer side, there's been confusion, there's been pricing, there really hasn't been a killer app. I still think I'm still bullish on it. I think on the location-based entertainment side has probably been the best on the kind of the VR world, whether that's with HTC Vive and all the location-based stuff they're doing. I think consumers are going to those and playing theirs. On the augmented reality side, that continues to. There's been some killer apps there, whether that's Pokemon Go or a lot of industrial, medical, or manufacturing type applications. I still think looking for the next kind of consumer killer app beyond Pokemon Go. There's no doubt that Apple is putting a significant amount of time and money and resources into that, and will probably build that platform. I'm probably more bullish right now on augmented reality. I'm probably even more bullish on enterprise kind of B2B applications. I do think there'll be a lot of breakout AR type applications, and some of these will be baked into the platform like Snap is, and like now iPhones. I mean, like Apple's doing with iPhone 10 with their emojis, and Samsung's doing the same thing, taking your face and having to move an emoji and things. So I think there's a lot happening. I think as early stage investor, it's a little complicated in that everybody thinks they're going to have a killer consumer app, but maybe it's not. It could be a B2B app. Those guys doing B2B got to be very focused, and they don't really get a lot of attention from other people. So that could be we could have a whole podcast on just mobile VR and augmented reality, but I was pretty deep in it, kind of backed off just to see what's happening. So
I've always wondered about the capability of mobile for VR. Is there enough power in the device to really handle VR? Is that the issue, or is it just having a good killer application that really solves people's problem?
I think it's multiple. I think number one, VR is one of those things that we've realized that it's kind of a single user thing, and mobility is you're out in the world, you're out in the wild, going everywhere. So if you're going to use VR, you're going to be probably in your house, or it's in your office, or someplace where there's not other people around you that are not on a headset. So I think that's been a challenge. I think you're right, a killer app. I think the price point's been there. That's been a bit. I do think maybe if you're trying to do connected latency or just having the bandwidth, because so far, but it continues to come down in price. Facebook just announced their Oculus headset, which is a standalone unit, a couple $100. I hope it works. I keep wanting to be very bullish, but now I'm kind of being from Iowa. Show me the money. Show me it's going to happen now. I mean, I was first in VR back in the late 80s when I was with a company called Alias Research that ran on Silicon Graphics in the early 90s. And, and they came back again 2.5 years ago with vengeance. But it's just still hasn't gotten to that phase where we all know somebody has one, loves it, they're going to experience it. And I think it's mainly because the reason I said I think it's a solo event, and you got to kind of be somewhere where we're social animals, and our mobile phones are with them all the time, and we want to socially be looking at people and looking at the damn phone at the same time. So that's the challenge with us. We like to multitask. You can't multitask when you're putting a headset on.
All right. Well, like we said before, mobile's really come a long ways and has a lot of potential for the future. In the last couple of minutes we have here, what else should we talk about that we haven't?
Well, I think I'm very interested in talking to talented entrepreneurs that are builder creators that can write software, or, it's a product person. They have people that can write software. I really look at three things. I look at what's the size of the market or the TAM that's going to be sometime in the future or even now. That's the number one thing I look at, because that's the number one. What's the macroeconomics going around that TAM, that market? Second thing I look at is really the quality of the team, and I've made it really clear that I'm looking for builder creators or people that can write code. They don't have to all be there, but you better have a lot of those. And the third thing is I look at kind of the idea. People sometimes put the idea first, and I agree the idea is important, but the idea changes a lot. But I do think the idea is very important to gel the team and to keep everybody together. So that's an area I want to say that's important. I'm based in the Bay Area and West Coast focus. I will sometimes do stuff outside, but it's usually with people I know. I do think that software is going to continue to eat the world, and AI is going to be part of it. I'm very bullish on pretty much everything except maybe ad tech, and there's even areas in ad tech you could succeed on. And the reason I'm not bullish on ad tech right now is that there's two companies that control 80% of that, the revenue on that, so it always makes it very tough in startups. But overall, I've got a model that I think works for entrepreneurs. And I would say that if you kind of like Y Combinator, but if you get into Y Combinator, definitely do that. But if you want an individual that could be your Y Combinator for 2 years instead of 12 weeks, I'm your guy. My model is I'll write a check 50 to 100K, and I'll get anywhere from 3 to 6% of the company. I'm in there right on the ground with you on the ground floor and ready to go. And I do four things that all entrepreneurs want to do. I'll write the first check, but I'll also help you raise $1 million to $2 million syndicate. And then I'll help you with setting up your company MVP, who's the customer, what's the market validation. Then I'll also help you land customers. And then the fourth thing that everybody wants, they want to raise more money or they want to either sell their company, and I'll help you with that. And those are the things I do for entrepreneurs. But once I said, if you get into Y Combinator, definitely do that. But if you want somebody that could really help you for an extended period of time and roll up their sleeves and be part of your team, that's me.
Well, that's great. Well, I appreciate your sharing this information with the group today. For those who want to get back in touch with you and maybe take you up on that offer, what's the best way they get in touch with you?
Isaac at handmade.vc, ISAAC at handmade.vc. I'm also on LinkedIn under Isaac Baabs, and my website is www.handmade.vc, and you can find me on all those. And I'd love to hear from any of you entrepreneurs or even other investors. If you want to collaborate and share things, I do that all the time in my model, particularly if you're a deep operating person that has money. And I'm fine sharing deals and splitting deals. We just got to both make sure we deliver our portion on them and stuff. And then if there's angels that want to just tag along and their money, I'm fine with that too. I usually look for angels that want to write checks minimum 50K or bigger. So, because I'm helping the entrepreneur raise $1 million or $2 million. And I usually go out and syndicate with some angels, high net worth angels, but usually we're bringing in micro VCs or corporate or even bigger VCs that will write smaller checks.
Well, it's great. Well, we'll put those details, especially the contact details, in the show notes so people can get back in touch with you. And I want to thank you for sharing your time and expertise today, and hope to have you back in the future for a deep dive in more of these topics.
Thank you, Hall. I appreciate it.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.